Hey everyone, welcome back to Pretending with Dice. As always, I'm your host and game master, AJ. I wanted to use my intro today, kind of predictably actually, to put out one last plug for our Dragon Meet 2021 appearance, which is happening this weekend, if you're listening to this episode on release day, or the day after release day. Those of you who don't know, Dragon Meet is an awesome tabletop RPG convention held in London, UK. This year's con is taking place this Saturday, December the 4th, at the Novotel London West in Hammersmith. This will be our fourth appearance at the con, alongside a bunch of other really awesome podcasts as part of the podcast zone, which I believe during this year's con can be found on the mezzanine floor. Although I'm not 100% on that, but yeah, check your listings if you're attending. It'd be super great to get to see as many of you as possible there. Dragon Meet is really one of the few public events that we usually get to go out to, and yeah, seeing a bunch of cool folks out in the wild is always a lot of fun. I will also most likely be making another vlog throughout the day, as well as putting up photos and whatnot on our Twitter and Instagram feeds, so those of you who can't get there will still be able to follow along with the fun. For more details, head on over to dragonmeet.co.uk, and yeah, we'll see you at the con. Alright, so without any further ado, let's get into today's episode. Enjoy.
Previously on Frontier.
This system is meant to be uninhabited, isn't it, Commander Ray?
Yes, sir. No intelligent life on any of the planets in this system, according to previous reports.
I probably would recommend only a short away mission, sir.
Energize.
Do we have any idea what we might find here?
We're looking for the source of the dilithium and titanium signatures we detected from orbit, Ensign.
Begin to hear, unmistakably, an animal call.
Eyes up.
Johnny's phaser ready.
Murphy's gonna draw her phaser and fire the phaser once.
You're under the trees again, and at the firing of your phaser...
Oh fuck. I forgot about them.
Two of the barbs just go straight into your arm. One hits you in the side of the neck, and one final one just goes straight into your cheek.
Oh.
Your right arm and the right side of your face immediately go completely numb.
We're sitting ducks in this forest.
As you fold up your tricorder, without warning, right next to you, one of the other two creatures just explodes out of the bushes and wraps its jaws around one of the hind legs of the paralyzed one. From out of sight behind you, you hear sounds of flesh tearing.
Well, that might help get their focus off of us.
Fingers crossed.
Maybe. They basically kill and eat their injured.
It would have been a jump scare in a movie, that's what I'm saying.
I'm visualizing it right now.
Johnny's stayed within a few feet of all of this. Like, he kind of followed and trailed behind Ray, and has a great deal of like tension, and like his eyes are wide, and he's fighting the urge to shout, but he's watching Ray's reaction. Like, is Ray surprised by this, or is he kind of like nonplussed? What's happening?
Yeah, what's Ray's reaction to this? I mean, this happened like 6 feet away from you. What's your reaction? You didn't. This is the thing. You didn't even see the other one appear. Like, no. It just the camouflage was that good that it just suddenly this mouth was on the other one and pulled back. This is, you know.
Okay, so as I folded the tricorder and this other mouth has just come out of nowhere, I imagine that I'm kind of down, sort of slightly crouched, 1 foot behind the other. So as I'm folding the tricorder, I'm starting to stand up again. but then the mouth comes through, grabs the leg of the other one, the downed creature, and I just kind of go back on I fall out backwards on the backmost foot. Mm-hmm. So I end up sort of rolling backwards, trying not to make any noise with my mouth as I go hit the floor, to the point where once I've sort of rolled onto the lower bit of my back and then put my head up again, I can see the downed creature being dragged off. At which point, as I've rolled backwards, I've sort of noticed out of the corner of my vision as I've gone over
it's feeding time at the zoo.
ensign has sort of not too far behind. So once the creature's disappeared, I sort of turn my neck round and put my finger to my lip and sort of gesture to him. Mm-hmm. Shush, be quiet.
Johnny's eyes widen, and internally he's just kind of like, "You're telling me to be quiet?" Like, you just rolled backwards. But he's fighting that, and he sort of leans forward, reaches a hand out, and like steps a few paces forward to kind of come within range, reaches a hand out to pull him up.
Yeah. At which point I gladly take his hand and get up onto my feet. I think I wasn't sort of saying like don't make any noise because of the plants. I was thinking just, don't resist the urge to make any verbal sounds in case the other one.
I took it entirely in character as just like, this is just Johnny's in panic high strung mode right now. So, he's just like, oh my god, everything, like, you almost got caught there, like, let's get back. And he's kind of immediately motioning to be like, let's get back to that hollow and find out what's going on back there, make sure they're good.
Highly strung Johnny Two-Phasers.
That's me.
Cool. Okay, so I'm back on my feet, and I very, very low level say to the ensign, "I've got the scan. Let's head back."
While all this was going on, Arela and Murphy, what were you doing?
Probably try to get feeling into my arm. Or like trying to move my fingers.
You're having a bit of trouble on that front.
Oh no. How much can I move it?
I mean, it's not fully paralyzed, but you definitely, the doctors, I'm assuming if you're prodding and poking you, you're not feeling that.
Yeah.
You get the feeling, I can't remember if I said it before we got cut off last time, that you got a bit of a bigger dose from a much larger spine than Johnny had gotten rid of.
In my neck, in my cheek.
The cheek was the... you basically got a cheek piercing. The neck one, luckily, your new rank pip stopped it. That one could have been a bit... not that any of them are good, but, getting stabbed in the neck's not great.
I may have been a conscious Snow White. Oh, thankfully that didn't happen.
But yeah, as it is, you wouldn't be able to support your weight on your own, on your right side at all, and being able to lift your right arm is becoming increasingly tricky.
So the doctor is trying to help speed this process up, but also having a good look at some of these darts, trying to work out, I mean, obviously they're quite short, but trying to work out what they might have that would be able to block them.
Immediately you'd be able to tell from the fact that one of them got sort of deflected by Murphy's sort of metal rank pit, that basically they're not going to make it through any kind of more solid material. I mean, that I think on the first lot you got hit on your medical case and they just sort of, they didn't pierce the case sort of thing.
Yeah, but it did get through the uniform. Yeah,
I mean, this is the thing. Your uniforms are well insulated and everything, but at the end of the day, they're just kind of fabric. You're basically just walking around with them, but you guys are wearing sweatshirts essentially. Your uniforms aren't armored against anything like this. But I mean, these are a natural occurring thing. So that, I mean, this is 99.999% of the time the thing that's going to be getting hit is an animal that got too close and was starting to eat the plant or something. So they're deciding to give animals a bit of a deterrent sort of thing.
They shoot quite a distance to get rid of herbivores that might munch on them.
Yeah. They come out with some power. This is definitely a thing. But the actual kind of stopping power, the darts themselves aren't particularly weighty. It's the initial probably kind of release that sort of is getting them the distance more than anything else.
Be interesting to study once we're back.
Yes, once there's not a storm and
Yeah.
hunting creatures.
I mean, things seem a little bit less perilous.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you can come to the conclusion. I don't even think I really need a check of this. That any sufficiently kind of anything harder than a fabric shirt is probably gonna do a good job at stopping them. And as you said about putting on the more layers you have on is probably going to be better.
Yeah. And probably useful in the storm as well.
Yeah.
Freezing is never fun.
Speaking of the storm, then, at this moment, Irila, you become aware of the first drops of rain beginning to fall around you, swiftly followed from not too far away, sort of audible over the wind, the rolling of thunder. This storm is nearly upon you.
I'm going to indicate with my arm to because we brought the tent, so I'm just going to indicate to Irila that we might start putting that up now. Well, it's light.
Oh, we can.
Well, we can, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But clearly not anything I can do to make this move any faster.
No, I mean what are you trying? What I mean in terms of making feeling come back? Are you, because I think you've kind of cleaned the punctures, but it's not like it wasn't like blood spurting out or anything. You know, you just kind of you sort of wiped off any sort of jungle muck and then disinfected.
Yeah,
but,
get rid of anything that could continue to add to the anaesthetising effect. Largely using some physical manipulation and checking whether it's causing it to spread or if it's helping it dissipate by diluting it.
Okay.
Largely going to be a matter of time.
You're getting the feeling like you're sort of actually, okay, well, let's do a check for this then, because if you're doing this as like you're testing it, can I get a I guess this would be reason medicine, or would it be reason medicine? Yeah, because you're kind of testing it, I suppose. You've got plenty of focuses in this, so I guess this would be difficulty 1. I mean, take your pick. You've got triage, you've got medical rehabilitation, you've got pain management, you've got hazard awareness. You know, and you've got field medicine. You know, you're basically set up to.
This is what I'm designed to do.
This is a 19 and an 8, but it was only going to be difficulty 1, so very close to a critical failure there. But with that 19, so but the 8 is fine. So yeah, again, this would, I think. I'm choosing to, again, play a little fast and loose with how focuses are coming into effect here, but I think this would be a case of anybody other than you, this might have been a difficulty 2 or 3. But yeah, you're finding it doesn't seem to be spreading around, like there's nothing visual you can find, but you're not noticing anything spreading, you know, the sort of the lack of feeling. It's kind of the bits that are numb now are the bits that are staying numb. I think you and Murphy are able to figure out which maybe points you towards this being some kind of neurological effect rather than a muscular effect.
Interesting.
But again, because this is a sort of basically uncharted planet, you can get an idea and narrow down sort of what the substance is that's on the dart, but you would need your lab on board the Tenzing to really break down what it's doing on a, you know, molecular level.
Then I guess I'll move on to putting up tent.
These tents, I imagine, they're sort of safety shelters. They're fairly straightforward, and there's a lot of sort of I mean, we have pop-up tents nowadays, don't we? So I feel like we don't need to go through a putting up the tent montage. and we can just sort of say, by the time that Ray and Johnny come back to the Hollow, the tent is up. Murphy supervising, I guess, from the ground. But yes.
I slumped in the corner.
Just like, good job.
What's the news, boys?
Well, I managed to get a scan on the creature that was downed by the ensign shortly before one of the other ones dragged it off for a midnight snack.
Lovely.
But based on the readings I've been able to pick up, it seems that they have the ability to see things potentially on the infrared spectrum. So what I'm thinking, we've got the pattern enhancers with us. If we set them up and adjust the field to mask our heat signatures while we're inside it, it might prevent them from detecting us, and eventually my hope is they'll get bored and wander off, and they'll give us a bit of a reprieve to continue onward.
We'll still set a watch up, because even though they can't see us, they'll probably still be able to smell us.
If we can, if we can take away their association with our heat signatures, that might give us a bit of hope. It's a long shot, Commander, but it's best we've got at the moment.
Well, we're not going to get any help time soon, so let's make best what we can. Good job.
All right.
The rain really is starting to come down now.
Yeah.
Let's get inside.
So, speaking of not getting any extra help anytime soon, it's about now that you realise that it's kind of been a little while since you were supposed to check in with the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you haven't received any kind of communication from them either. Which is a little odd, because you would expect to get a call from the ship after missing a scheduled check-in like this.
Yeah. Murphy's going to try and raise the ship, but she's like positive that the magnetic storm is going to just be static.
That's that's a pretty good instinct. You tap your comm badge intending to contact the Tenzing, but the connection doesn't go through. Your badge plays you the sort of, I don't want to call it the disappointed error noise, I want to call it.
Yeah.
Perhaps after we've set up the pattern enhancers, would that potentially help?
It would in their original configuration. If you're choosing to modify them, then they are not going to be working as pattern enhancers anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, well, but we could
They
change
won't
it backwards and forwards though. These are just settings on the device.
I mean, this isn't something the device is designed to do at all. So you would have to modify the device to do this.
Yeah. I mean, rather than improving,
These are
the signal-
specifically transporter components. This isn't a field generator. This is a pattern enhancer sort of thing.
We can't use these to, if we're the plan is to modify them so the field that we're inside hides our heat signature, but we're not trying to get something into a good enough pattern strength to send it up to the ship. So in theory we could use it to send comms out through the storm, but
Not if you modify them.
no,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
right.
if you do
Yeah.
anything to them now, they will not work as pattern enhancers anymore.
In the moment and in character, Johnny, hearing all of this, is going to turn to the group and say, if we modify those pattern enhancers, we might not be able to get to the ship.
Jensen's got a point.
But maybe we could use them now if we set up a small field. Perhaps we could... Is it possible for us to send a message using those? Could we potentially send something using the transport, send in information, and send a brief message to the ship?
The ship? Are you asking me? Sorry, are you? Oh, sorry.
I'm throwing that out there in character and to you, I suppose. I mean, I'm looking towards the more technical. I suppose Johnny would be looking towards Ray for this, maybe, as he's the science officer.
You guys-
I wouldn't know.
I really just looks round and shrugs.
Yeah.
That bit's not my problem.
Could we perhaps beam up a tricorder with a message? Use pattern enhancers to break through the storm, send up to the ship so they at least know what we're doing.
The pattern enhancers aren't a portable transporter. The ship is the one doing the transporting.
Yeah, it's just
We
a
still need to
booster. It's like a
communicate.
Wi-Fi adapter.
They're basically a
kind of thing.
beacon.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. They help further the beam of the transporter.
Yeah, they help basically, focus in on a point where, in places where there's interference or that they think transporting is going to be hard. They're not a transporter themselves.
But for now, then, we're kind of stuck insofar as we've got no means of communicating with the ship, so we've got no means of getting back to it right now at all.
Essentially, yes.
But
So I guess for now it's like we've just got to try and defend ourselves and get to the site that we were trying to investigate. That's the bottom line.
So the logical thing to do at this point would be to deal with the immediate problem, which is those prowling creatures. So should we try and make the pattern enhancers, set them up so that the field they generate hides our heat signatures? Or
And if we do that, we're stuck. That's the main feeling that I've got on that, potentially. We don't know that we're going to get off the planet if we do that.
You haven't brought an engineer with you.
no. so we couldn't put them back to their original configuration. But then again, if the storm front,
I mean, this is going to be it'll be a skill check.
I mean, but if we do manage it, eventually if the storm front passes over, we might have clear line of sight for communications, and then maybe the ship can beam us up later.
What was the prognosis on the storm in terms of, like, it was meant to be 10 hours before it happened, and it's on us?
Yeah. You don't know how... You have no clue how long it'll last.
Yeah, we're in uncharted territory.
I think we're in this for the long haul, so better to protect ourselves now and worry about communications later. What does the commander think?
Out of character, I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure.
I was going to remind you as well that technically Aurora outranks all of you.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well.
Yeah, Aurela's the commander. Murphy's a lieutenant commander. No, just throwing that in there.
Largely, if we're not alive or not in physical shape to deal with being transported, it doesn't matter if they beam us up. Keeping ourselves alive comes first. We build shelter.
Building shelter includes modifying the pattern enhancers to hide our heat signatures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. In that case, I shall roll to check if this is even possible.
Good question. Again, I'm not trying to I wasn't trying to put a damper on plans, but I was just going to think
use the momentum. Use the momentum.
I was thinking momentum, yeah.
Okay, well, so this roll then, are you making the modification, or are you investigating to see if it can be done? Is the question, because you worded it two different ways there.
I'm going to...
Because you think you can do it?
I think I can do it. Yeah, I mean, I'm a science officer. I might be able to.
I'm just going off of the way you worded it last time. I wasn't going to question it, and then you were like, "I want to roll to see if it can be done," and I was like, "Wait, hold on, yeah."
Well, the way to see if it can be done is to attempt it.
Sure.
So I'm gonna attempt to do it, and then get my answer that way. Yeah. So I'm going to do that. So would this be engineering check?
This would be, I think. Because I can see you've got reverse engineering and a focus, but it's not really that. This is modifying stuff.
Yeah.
Reverse engineering is more kind of figuring out what a thing was from, or how things work from what they're doing. I think this would be control engineering. I think I'm not 100% sure I'm using control properly there, but this is a fine motor job. I think you've got to make some quite precise adjustments to these. You're basically trying to make a thing do a thing it wasn't designed to do, really. So yes, this is I think difficulty 3, control engineering.
Okay. Can I spend momentum on this?
Yeah.
Yes. You've got 5 points to spend.
How much should I spend on this, guys? 1 or 2?
Difficult was the test?
Difficulty 3.
3.
3.
2.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah.
2.
2. Okay. So you're buying 2. No, so that's 3 momentum. The first dice you buy costs 1, and the second one costs 2.
Yeah,
so if you
okay, right, yeah.
So you can spend 3 momentum, you get 2 extra die. Is that what you want to do?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So you're down to 2 momentum now.
Okay. That's 4d20.
4d20. Yeah. Looking to get. I mean, this is still pretty good skill for you. You're trying to get 15 and under.
Okay. Here we go. Oh. 4 successes.
4 successes. Nicely done.
2 of them almost not.
Yes, very close, but yeah, 4 successes. 2 14s, an 8 and a 5. Yes, it takes you a little bit of time. I'd say there's 3 pattern enhancers are a trio of basically sort of beacony type rods that you have to set up. So you're going to have to make the same. You have to make the modifications on all 3. I'm not going to make you do 3 rolls. Don't worry. We can say that once you've figured out how to do it on one, you can do it on the others a little easier. But yes, it takes you maybe 10-15 minutes to get the first one done, and then the other 2 again. The other 2 is a bit quicker, so this is probably a half-hour job.
Okay.
But you do manage to do it if you set them up. Are you setting them up kind of around your little encampment, I take it?
Yeah, basically, triangular pattern.
Yeah.
If the top point of the triangle will be at the entryway to this dugout, and then the other 2 will the field will go out and encompass the tent and all members of the away team.
Okay, yeah, you basically, so yeah, you think this is doing what you want it to do, is how I'm going to say it, because again, this isn't what these are really designed to do.
No.
You've made as good of a modification as you think you can do to do what it is. The theory behind it being that these are, instead of creating a sort of beacon field for an off-going transporter, this is creating almost like a kind of disruption field around it that's going to sort of obfuscate infrared light sort of thing.
Yeah.
Is as good as you can do it. You don't know how well it's working, but this is the closest you're going to get.
Understood.
That's all I can give you on that.
Okay. As a side to this, I think what Ray will do is we'll have the tricorder out, but back to the previous setting where it's just kind of trying to get a general idea of where those creatures are.
Okay.
And just keeping a look at it every now and again to see if anything changes.
You'd be having to use your tricorder to do this. You're going to be dialing in frequencies and things, so I don't think you can do two things at once here.
Right, okay, fair enough.
This is quite finicky micro electronics work, basically.
I was going to say, while you've been working, Johnny's at least been out there keeping an eye.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It is absolutely chucking it down with rain now, and the wind has, if possible, gotten up even more. Safe to say this storm was like fully broken over your current encampment at this point. Johnny, can I get another insight security check from you? Difficulty 2, to see if you can see the creatures out in the storm. 19 and a 2. Okay, well, again, that is very close to a critical success, very close to a critical failure. But one success. You can't see any more signs of these animals, and if anything, the wind has gotten up, and it's making it even harder for you to see it. And then you're trying to squint through the rain and everything as well. There's a lot of movement out there, but these things haven't shown themselves again just yet.
Okay. Keep them watchful then.
Yeah. Murphy, you're in the dry, I take it, while Ray's outside tinkering, and Johnny's...
I can't really do anything.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If there's anything you want to be trying to do, tell me, please. You know, anybody, that goes for as well.
I suppose I could probably, like, try fiddling with the comm badge, see if I can boost the signal of the comm badge, maybe. Sure. With one hand.
Okay. How are you doing that? Are you trying to like splice it into anything? What's the thinking here? I mean, they're already designed to sort of. You could be stood on the Earth talking to the Moon. They've already got quite a quite a range on them.
I'm probably trying to like adjust the frequency so it can maybe cut through.
Sure.
A little bit or something.
Yeah.
I just imagine her with the little those little needle like instruments they have sometimes when they're.
You've got like a little kit you can be messing with, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's part of you brought survival gear and stuff, so I'd imagine some kind of like kit is yeah. Sure, why not? Yeah. Okay. Well, this would be an engineering check, I guess. This would be.
Which I haven't.
Let's say region engineering. Just head off any reason engineering. Sorry. So this is going to be quite a tricky check as well. I think this is again going to be a difficulty 3.
Okay, I'm not gonna
trying to get under 11. Okay.
I'll keep the other.
Okay.
Oh, that's 2d20. Yeah?
2d20. Trying to get 3 successes. So you got 1 success. So you're able to kind of. You're not able to successfully regain. Let's work out what 1 success does here then. So basically, you're able to kind of just about, with a bit of messing about, get your comm badge off and kind of take the back off of it. It's a bit tricky. You're able to, I guess, kind of prop a tool into your hand, on your unmoving hand. As like,
shove it into my like,
yeah, you could be holding it in your
something.
numb hand, I guess, and then using your left hand. You know, sure, why not? And yeah, you're able to kind of flip the back off of it and kind of start sort of cycling through frequencies, and you're basically able to find out that the kind of the magnetic field seems to be messing with pretty much the whole frequency range that the comm badge is working on. You're not able to regain contact with the ship at the moment with that, with 1 success anyway. But yeah, good idea, just not a successful one.
Blame my numb hand.
Yeah. If only I had both my hands, this would be working fine.
Just go clear of my arm.
Curse these unmoving digits. So yes, half an hour has passed. The rain is pounding on the tent above you. You do start to get a little bit more movement. Over the course of the half hour, you start eventually being able to kind of feel the badge in your hand, let's say. But you don't, this is slow going. This is very slow going. It's coming back, but this is not going to be like with Johnny getting the feeling back over the course of 20 minutes, on that one thing. This seems to be serious stuff. Yeah. But it is improving.
That image of Kill Bill now where she's in the truck and she's looking at her big toe. She's like, wiggle your big toe.
It is kind of like that, yeah. You're just like, move your punching hand. Move your punching hand.
That's literally what I'm thinking. It's like she's like looking at that com badge. She's like, come on, move your pinky. Move that pinky. Just a little bit.
It's slow progress. You are starting to, it's if not moving, you're starting to get a little bit of feeling back. You can now feel the badge in the hand, let's say. So that's better. Slow going though. You haven't got motion back really back in that arm yet, or the leg, I suppose. But you're not getting any worse.
That's fine.
I feel like I've downgraded it from that's better to you're just not getting any worse. Not on purpose. Yeah.
Murphy's just feeling sorry for herself.
Yeah. Doctor, during this half hour where Ray's modifying the pattern enhancers, what would you like to be doing?
I'm not sure that there's actually a massive useful amount Doctor can be doing right now, other than, not getting injured.
Oh, that's always useful, not being injured.
Yeah. It's a good start to have your healer not being broken. They're probably actually watching out of the tent and just like observing the storm. And as much as she has visibility, it really will be an eye out if there's any dangers coming from other directions.
Yeah, okay. I'm not going to need you to roll for the looking at the storm. I'll just say that, the full sky that you can, well, from what you can see through the canopy of tree branches is like fully dark clouded over now, and it's looking pretty rough. But if I could get an insight security check from you to be, just keeping an eye out for dangers and such. Because the tent's down the hollow and a bit sheltered, it'd be difficulty 2, I think.
Okay.
15 and 10. Okay, 1 success. You're able to kind of keep an eye out, but at the limited only really at the limited kind of viewpoint from where the tent entranceway is kind of facing, really. You don't see anything in terms of, you don't catch a glimpse of any of the other two sort of big creatures at all as you're watching. But all the foliage and everything is being really blown around here. It's pretty nasty out. You do get a fairly unobstructed view of Johnny just getting absolutely drenched by the rain stood up on the sort of lip of the hollow, and Ray to a similar extent as he's fiddling around with the pattern enhancers and trying to get them in place and fixed. But no sign of these creatures.
That's good.
Yeah.
Juliet is probably wincing in sympathy and wondering, okay, do I have something to help with hypothermia?
If you want to check that, yeah. I mean, there's you've brought these kind of survival kits, so you could go through them and kind of do a bit of inventory of you if that was what you wanted to be doing.
Yeah, I think that seems like a good plan.
There's got to be like futuristic towels or something to dry off really quick.
Your jacket is now dry.
Gently heating to prevent frostbite.
Thighs adjusting. Fit.
Yeah. There's definitely, as I say, you guys came pretty well stacked for survival gear here, so after a little bit of digging in the packs and that, you're able to get out a little portable heater thing. It's about the size of a thermos, but it sort of sits in the centre of the tent as like a kind of heater. The tent is insulated as well, so I think you can be confident that it's probably not bleeding out much extra infrared stuff. As soon as I said it, I thought, well, that's going to up the infrared thing, and you're trying to block infrared, but no. It's insulated.
I assume that our tents were built with that in mind.
Yes, it's a survival tent. You're not going to be hopefully getting too cold in this. So yeah, you're able to find a heater, and there's a kind of I was going to say futuristic sort of one of those like silvery blanket type things that they give people at the end of marathons, but those are already kind of sci-fi like. So yeah, there's one of them all folded up. The technology is perfect. There's no need to improve it. But yes, you're confident that once they come in from the rain, you'll be able to dry them off pretty well, even if they're having a pretty rough time of it right now. And the heater is keeping you and Murphy pretty nice and toasty in the tent.
Should help with the Lieutenant Commander's recovery.
Yes, and as you look, you do see, as you think that, you look over and you see her, she can just about flex her fingers on her right hand now.
I am glad to see progress.
Okay, so pattern enhancers are set up. You are fairly confident, Ray, that they're doing what you want them to do, although there's not a huge way to check that without having the eyes of one of the creatures. But you're fairly confident. Johnny, you're keeping watch, and yeah, the storm is really lashing down now. So with that in mind, what is the overall plan? What are you guys thinking of doing here? Just a reminder as well, where you're currently camped, you're just over 2 miles away from the dilithium and titanium signatures, which are your kind of ultimate goal here.
Well, as soon as possible, Johnny's just going to get inside, obviously. I mean, are we going to say that at this point that we've gone inside, we're drying off, we're trying to make plans?
Can do, that's what I'm asking. What are you doing, basically? What's the...
Feels like the most sensible next step.
Agreed.
Cool, so, yeah, Johnny's drying off, and, yeah, I mean, he's not any kind of command material, so...
Don't say yourself short, man. But yes, you are severely outranked here.
Yeah, he's kind of mostly waiting to see what the vibe is and seeing where things are going.
You've got people on the ship that you can order around, just none of them are here.
Yeah.
I'd imagine if Murphy's arm improves, then I'd imagine we're only 2 miles away. We could probably just trek to if the storm lightens up, but we don't know how long the storm's going to be. So do we wait a few hours?
Well, how bad's the leg at this point? Because that was also stuck with one of those things, was it not?
Oh yeah.
You still haven't gotten back your full motion, but the longer you wait, it is slowly coming back, I would say. But it's slow going, like I said. It took that half an hour it took to get the pattern enhancer set up. You basically had only just gotten back your feeling in your hand, and definitely not your full range of motion. So that's a guide. You're not like you're not back up to full strength yet by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, we can't really go anywhere then.
Not ideal to be travelling in this weather.
No.
If there are more predators out, then we'll really struggle to locate them before they're on top of us. We watch for a break in the cloud, break in the storm, get to the dilithium signature as quickly as we can, assuming that Lieutenant Commander Murphy can travel with us by that point. Get there, find out what we can, and see if we then, at that point, have communications.
Yeah, that sounds probably the best idea. Okay.
Ayula looks round for any disagreement.
There's certainly none coming from Johnny.
Nothing from Ray either.
Excellent. Now, let's get the pair of you warmed up. Ayula directs probably Murphy to moves them over to look out of the tent and keep an eye on what's going on.
Yep.
While she makes sure that nobody's going to get frostbite.
Okay, Ray and Johnny, you are able to with the doctor's help, warm up and get some of the. I mean, you were properly drenched standing out there, especially Johnny, like I say. So the heater in the centre of the tent is really a welcome sight, shall we say. Keeping an eye out then on the storm outside. It's really raging now. I mean, the survival tent. This is a well-designed piece of stuff, equipment. You know, you're nice and cozy in there now with the heater set up and that. There's one of those kind of, I guess, like fly nets, except it seems to be keeping the heat in a little bit better, so you're able to kind of look out relatively dryly into this raging sort of thunderstorm, the likes of which you haven't seen definitely haven't seen before. rain is coming down in torrents. A little bit starting to pool at the bottom of this hollow, I will say. You've kind of picked a little bit of a dip in the landscape here. But it's kind of draining away. It's just nasty out, let's just say that. Lightning is now flashing overhead with quite sort of frequent sort of regularity. You know, it's not directly overhead, but the flashing and that is giving you kind of a quite dramatic sort of view up the kind of sides of the hollow there. There's from all kind of different directions. There's all, you know, kind of like strobe lighting flashes and such. After about half an hour, one of these flashes illuminates a shape on the rim of the hollow. Seems to be crouched low and is sort of looking down at you.
Who is it that sees them?
Murphy, I thought you said was looking out out the door. Sorry,
Just depending on how long it had been.
I'm about half an hour, another half hour
Okay.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's not really approaching. It's just kind of low and sort of in the shadow of the tree. And as you're kind of looking around, you wouldn't have noticed it if not for a sudden flash off to the side. And it's sort of like, oh, that is not part of the tree. That is just there.
Those are eyes.
Yeah. Basically.
I'm gonna take. I'm assuming I've got a phaser in my hand.
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
got a surplus of phasers here, thanks to Johnny.
I'm gonna point my phaser in its direction, but like, just wait and watch it continually.
Learned your lesson from the previous phaser. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm gonna like wave it in the air. No, I'm not.
Just go on, get out of here.
No, I was wanting to try and I was going to try and indicate behind her, to someone behind her, but
Oh yeah, sure. Yes. I just thought you just go like waving the gun at it, like, go on, you know what this does.
no. No, I'm trying to do a hand signal behind me.
Yeah.
But I've only got one hand.
I think by this point you can move your hand a little bit. Yeah, by this point,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm just going to gesture with a little bit as gently as possible. Get someone's attention, but keep the phaser trained on the creature.
Yes, you are all now aware that something is up.
Johnny's at the ready, dried off enough. He's going to creep up next to her, phaser in hand, and kind of peer out and see what she's seeing.
I'm going to quietly describe where the creature is to Johnny, as quietly as possible.
What do you think we should do?
If we fire, we create noise. And we know what happens when noise.
With this level of storm going on, I'm not sure it would be noticeable.
The commander's got a point.
Yeah. I'm not confident taking aim and firing, so because of my arm, I'm going to leave the shot to Connor.
Okay.
Johnny's going to kind of creep and take a prime firing position. Is this thing even vaguely aware of us? Can it? I mean, we've got this mesh up in front of us, so can it kind of make out what's going on in any way? Is there any sense it knows that we're here?
There's another flash of light from a lightning blast, quite close by this time. You're less than a second between the flash and the thunder, and yeah, it's illuminated quite well, and it's one of the tiger-like creatures from before. It is staring directly at the tent, but it's kind of not in a focused way on you like it was before. And you think from the distance it should be able to see you, but you're getting the idea that maybe the pattern enhancers, the modification that Ray made, is confounding it slightly. It knows something's up, it knows something is out of place here, but it's not seeing your outlines as clearly as earlier on, where you would guess maybe it was sort of quite having an easy time hunting you guys.
Okay, so
Now it's sort of been the pattern enhancer field, it is confounding it a little bit, but it's definitely knows something is there, and it's sort of just looking in the general direction.
Johnny's going to sort of turn his head back to everybody else and say, it looks like the pattern enhancers are working. It doesn't seem to necessarily know that we're here. Should I fire?
No, then wait. We'll just wait.
Aye, sir. I'll continue to observe it. If I see any signs that it's going to make an attack or run at us in any kind of way, do I have your permission to fire?
Yep. Murphy's going to search the tree line for any other shadows.
Okay. Can I get an insight security check? Difficulty 1, because you know what you're looking for. 16 and a 7. Okay. You were going for 14 and under, so there's your one success. Okay. So you squint out into the darkness. It's tricky to see, and there's a fair amount of distracting movement from the wind-blown vegetation. But then you spot it. A second shadow, similarly proportioned to the first, also crouching sort of just around the lip of the hollow. For reference, if the first one was at 12 o'clock looking out from the tent, the second one will be at 3 o'clock.
I'm going to mention that to Connor as well. There's one at 3 o'clock. I'll take that one. And I am that one.
And he pulls his second phaser out.
I know it's probably not. I feel like I'm finding Johnny with 2 phasers more funny than anybody else is, but it's just this image, it's like he's just walking around double phasering it like some kind of like Wild West gunslinger. I don't know, I just find it very funny.
Multiple targets, got to deal with it.
Great image.
Confident enough in his ability to shoot well with 2 hands. So, each of you then, taking your time, line up your shots on each of the creatures. Now that you're properly focused on them, your eyes begin to adjust a little to the darkness, and you can see that the creatures are just subtly moving their heads back and forth from side to side. It looks like they're sniffing the air. A moment passes, and the one on the left takes a tentative step forward towards your position. Then the one on the right also takes a step forward.
There's a bead of sweat running down Johnny's forehead.
Take it easy.
You see the heads lower and the shoulders coming up in what were these big cats from Earth you would interpret as a posture indicating that they're getting ready to pounce.
Murphy's gonna just go now. It's fire.
Okay. Okay, so from each of you then, as you take these shots, can I get some control security checks from you? Difficulty 2, please.
How much momentum have we got left?
We have 2 momentum left.
You want to use one each?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay, so you get 3 dice each.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so Murphy got a critical success with that one. Johnny got a critical failure with the 20. Murphy, you got 3 successes, and let me just check Johnny's one, because Murphy, you were going for control security. You were going for under 14. You got an 8, 2, and a 1. Johnny was going for under 13.
Yeah.
And he got a 20, a 17, and a 15, so that's 3 failures. You know what? Okay, well, let's deal with Murphy's shot first, before we get to Johnny's critical failure. So with what you rolled then, you got 4 successes, 1 each from the 3 and the 2 that you rolled, plus 1 success from the 1. You nail your shot on the creature you're aiming at, just blasting it with like a pinpoint phaser strike. You've been in Starfleet security for quite some time. You run phaser drills a lot of the time. This is your thing. So let's roll some damage then. Now the Type 2 phaser with your stats gives you 7d6, seven challenge dice to roll here for damage. So there's a lot of potential there for damage. You'll deal 1 point of damage on a 1, 2 points of damage on a 2, nothing on a 3 or a 4, and 1 point and an effect if you roll a 5 or 6. I believe with the phases you have, the only effect is charge, which I don't think is going to have the biggest effect right now, though I think.
That's fine.
Okay, so we got 2 1s, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6. That's a pretty even spread. We can, as I said, discard the 3 and the 4 straight away. That leaves us with a total of 6 points of damage here, with 2 of those activating the charge effect. Maybe we'll come back to that. I'll look up if that's going to have any big thing. But you know what? Actually, you've done over 5 points of damage here with a single attack, which is enough to cause an injury. Now, in creatures such as these, an injury is going to be incapacitating. So, good shooting, I guess. You've successfully taken down your target. Whether it's dead or not, you can't tell from here, but, good shot.
Ah.
Now, Johnny, you're feeling pretty confident as you go to take your shot. But as you go to fire, a few things happen all at once. The creature you're aiming at suddenly leaps towards you, leaving the ground at the same moment that a massive lightning strike splits the air, completely destroying your night vision in your line of sight. You're seeing stars as you press down on the firing trigger, and your phaser blast goes wide. So wide, in fact, that it strikes one of the 3 pattern enhancers, which immediately, under the force of the phaser blast, detonates, scattering flaming debris all across the hollow.
Yeah.
Murphy, Irila and Ray, you see all of this in the blink of an eye. The creature pouncing towards the tent, Johnny missing his shot, and the bright flash of the exploding equipment. Time seems to slow as this large predator springs through the air in your direction, claws and teeth extended for the kill. And then it drops. A dead weight crashing to the ground at the threshold of your survival tent. A long, thin, metallic projectile, clearly visible protruding from the creature's skull, directly between the eyes, now dead and staring up at nothing.
Oh.
Alright, that's going to do it for this episode. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time on Thursday, December the 16th for the continuation of this story, and we hope you'll all join us for that. In the meantime, you can always get in touch with us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, all of which we are at Pretend With Dice. We'd love for you to join us on our Discord server, the permanent invite links to which can be found in our Twitter bio and on the sidebar and contact page of our Podbean site at pretendingwithdice.podbean.com. Finally, if you feel like supporting the podcast in a financial way, we have a Ko-Fi page you can head to at ko-fi.com/pretendingwithdice. So for now, that's our show. We hope you all enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.